everyone, and welcome back to the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. I am your host, Lisa Ryan, and no, I'm not an imposter. I am just a little hoarse this week because I'm muscling through a cold that has morphed into a little case of laryngitis. So I took a spoonful of honey, and I'm showing up this week in some capacity because this pod really means a lot to me. And the consistency and being here for you on a weekly basis also means a lot to me. So with that in mind, I'm going to keep this week's episode fairly short by sharing a technique that I truly appreciate for many reasons, most specifically because it addresses a very low vibe emotion known as loneliness. In 2023, the World Health Organization declared loneliness as a global public health priority and also noted its exacerbation by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I, for one, since I was a little kid, absolutely despised the thought of people that I love, and even those people that I don't even really know. I couldn't bear the thought of them being alone. So for example, like when my dad would go on a business trip, I would tuck little notes in his suitcase so that he had a surprise to read when he arrived at his hotel. And when I would talk to him on the phone at night, one of the first things I would ask him would be like, who are you going to be going to dinner with tonight? Because I just didn't want him to be alone. And I even became a very consistent pen pal with my aunt who lived all by herself. And remember those days of snail mail? Well, I would go to the post office and buy stamps by the roll just to send letters and cards to all the people I knew who lived by themselves. I mean, this even included Santa Claus before I knew he was married to Mrs. Claus. I'm not kidding. I was a super writer. And as an adult, I still feel this way. My friends, family, and even random strangers on the street. In my heart, I always pray that they have people who love them because I feel that as humans, we all deserve to be loved and appreciated. Which is what brings me to the focus of today's pod. It is a technique that has really struck me, and it is such a terrific way of combating loneliness, and it's called the 8-minute rule. So this technique, it was made popular by an American author and inspirational speaker whose name is Simon Sinek. And the practice is just simply dedicating an intentional 8-minute phone call or conversation to connect with a friend or loved one. And as you can probably guess, it's most especially effective if your friend or loved one is in a low vibe feeling state like overwhelm, depression, loneliness, or any other type of fear-based kind of struggle. So just by reaching out and engaging in a phone call, not a text, an actual verbal conversation, it helps a person to feel seen and heard and valued and that they truly matter, which supports a sense of belonging, and it counteracts feelings of being alone or feeling isolated. Now, to my knowledge, there isn't any specific science that backs the 8-minute rule, aside from some studies that have shown that brief social interactions can have a positive impact on mental well-being because they provide comfort and a sense of being understood. They lower depression and anxiety. They break the loneliness cycle by being a low-pressure connection, which counters fears of rejection. And also by developing consistency of a brief routine call, it builds trust and dependability, which enhances relationship strength and emotional security. And lastly, it's really just a short duration, which makes the call manageable, yet very impactful. So you might be thinking, listen, I am just so busy. I don't have the time. And guess what? I hear you. Yet I am fairly certain you can carve out 8 minutes of your day to have a quick call. Think about how long you might scroll through random types of social media on your phone, or sit in traffic, or go out for some exercise with your AirPods in your ear, or prep your lunch for the following day, or waiting for your dinner to get finished cooking in the oven, right? So you get it. There are so many opportunities to make a quick call, and it doesn't have to be 8 minutes. It can be 5 or 4 or 10 or whatever. And it's much easier than you think, and it can be so impactful to the people that you love. So here's how you do it. Send a simple text that says, "Do you have 8 minutes?" This signals availability without any pressure. Then set a time limit. Agree on 8 minutes to keep the call focused and respectful of time, which avoids any overstaying or abrupt endings. And then listen, focus on the other person intently while tuning into their feelings without any judgment. And ask open-ended questions like, how are you doing today? Or how does your heart feel today? Basically, any who, what, how, why, where kind of questions are considered open-ended, and they really support people feeling heard. And consequently, try to avoid those close-ended questions like those that start with can or did, do, are, have, because those can often feel a bit judgy and they might provoke more closed feelings when they're being received. Okay, so when you're done with the call, be sure to plan a future connection to establish and maintain a level of consistency. And something to really highlight here is don't forget your own self-care. There is a difference between listening with empathy and listening with compassion. When you listen with empathy, you are putting yourself in someone else's shoes to understand their perspective and their emotions. You're focused on feeling with the person and sharing their emotional experience. When you're listening with compassion, you go beyond the understanding to include the desire to help alleviate the other person's struggle and support their well-being. You're also being present for the other person and holding space for them to be heard and to feel supported. And I just want to say that both types of listening are super awesome. Just be sure that when you are listening, you're protecting your own personal energy and stay centered and in alignment with your core values. Remember, this is your friend or loved one's journey of life, not yours. So they get to be the navigator of all their stuff. You're just showing up so that they feel seen and valued, and most importantly, so that they don't feel alone. And that's it. The 8-minute rule of connecting and raising the vibe in the world. Having verbal conversations can be so helpful and such a gift to someone's day. And guess what? It works in reverse too. If you need someone to hold space for you, reach out to a friend or loved one and say, do you have 8 minutes for me? And let them be the ones for you to lean in so that you feel seen and included and loved. And most importantly, once again, so that you never feel alone. So I hope you found this pod to be very helpful, albeit very short. And if you did, please rate, subscribe, and leave a review and share it with a friend. All of this really helps me out, and I'm super grateful for your support. And that's it for this episode. I am your Super Voice Challenged host, Lisa Ryan, who is very dedicated to showing up each and every week so that we can explore all the tools and tricks that are going to make your universe even more joyful than it already is. I'll see you next week. Bye.